So I've reached quite the surprising conclusion. The best way to prepare for your future is to stop thinking about it. I know it doesn't sound very logical at first, but there's actually a very good reason why I've come to this conclusion, so just hear me out. I have been realizing that most of my compulsive thoughts that creates whatever feeling of worry or anxiety or fear in me comes from me thinking about my future. Not my distant future, but my near future, as in work and finances and home projects and these kinds of things. And since it's more often than not making me feel bad when I think about it, I have started to open up about the idea that it might not be the best idea to keep thinking about it, right? And at first that was kind of hard for me to swallow because I love planning and preparing for things, and I love making lists and all of these things. And I obviously have a very strong need for control in that area. But it's not making me feel good. And it's not always been like that. When I was feeling my very best in general, when I was the happiest person I know, I loved thinking about my future because I felt supported and open and curious, and I got so excited from not knowing what my future would look like. And so I loved thinking about it and daydreaming about it and visualizing all of these different things and experiences that I wanted to experience in my future, right? So it doesn't always feel bad. It's not always a negative thing to think about the future. And if you are into manifesting in any way, you are probably very familiar with this. Because then we actually think about the future on purpose to attract a better one, to imagine the way we want it to be. And that is actually very good, even from a mind and scientific perspective, because you are then making your mind practice getting that future and experiencing that future. But the problem comes when you are so used to thinking about your future because of that, and then for some reason your general mood, your general state of mind is not feeling too good anymore. That's when you want to stop thinking about your future. Because your thoughts about the future and about anything will just very much depend on the state of mind you already are in when you think of it. So if your general state of mind is joy and happiness and you feel good about your life and about yourself, your thoughts about the future will also feel good, and they will prepare you for your future in a good way. But oftentimes that positive state of mind wears off and we enter these periods of our lives where we're just not feeling as good generally. And your mind is so used to thinking about the future from when it made you feel good, if it did that at some point, that won't just shut itself off when you start to feel bad in general. You will continue to think about the future because you have trained your mind to do that, but your mind will think about it in a different way. It will think about it from the current state of mind you're in. So if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling worry, if you're feeling low in any kind of way, that will affect your thoughts about your future. So that is when you would want to shut your thoughts off, because any kind of thoughts you have about your future will prepare you for your future in that way. So if you spend a lot of time worrying about your future or feeling bad about it, you are training your mind to look for these worries and problems when the future arrives. Because that is just how we are wired. We our mind just continues in the same path. It's the snowball effect. I talk a lot about this in most of my videos, so I won't get as much into that, but the value is in realizing this, because our mind just runs on autopilot. So if it just continues to think about any kind of future when you're feeling bad, you won't necessarily stop it from doing that, because it's just your normal thing to do. But that is when you want to stop. That is when you want to return to the present moment and let go of thinking about the future. So the trick is just basically your mind or yourself needs to see a good reason why you should suddenly stop thinking about it. Because of course, that seems so counterintuitive. How on earth can we prepare for our future if we don't even tend to it, if we just hang around in the present moment, right? And what really helped me see why I should stop thinking about it in these times of my life when it's not really beneficial is, once again, Eckhart Tolle in his book The Power of Now. He says, in the present moment, there are no problems, there can only be challenges, right? And that means tending to the present moment instead of the future doesn't mean sticking your head in the sand. It means you can still take these practical steps you need to take that will affect your future, but you do it from a perspective of a challenge and what can I do in this moment, instead of making it into a problem. Because problems only arise when we put time between where we are and where we are thinking about being. That is the area where all the what ifs and hows and worries and all of these thoughts come in that makes it into a problem. But in this present moment, there are no problems. There can be no problems, only challenges to be dealt with, right? So then what does that do? Well, knowing that, realizing that, fully thinking about that, allows us to make a very simple yet oh so powerful decision for ourselves. Eckhart says we can then, by knowing that, make the decision that I will create no more pain or problems for myself. Sounds easier said than done, I know, but the easiest ways to go about things are often the most effective ones. And in this case, asking yourself this question when you think about your future and it's not making you feel really good, you feel nervous or anxiety or worrying, asking yourself, is this actually happening in this moment? Is this real? Or am I just creating problems and pain for myself? That question in itself will bring you out from all of the emotional things going on in your head and bring you back to the present moment right here. In this moment, is this happening or am I creating pain and problems in my head? Once you ask yourself that question and you get the answer, very often the answer will be, no, this is not happening. I'm just worried it might happen. I'm just imagining that it can happen. So I am creating this pain or these problems in my mind. Would you then continue on that thought? Would you continue to keep creating pain and problems for yourself once you see this is not actually happening, it's just me doing that? Probably not. So make a decision. I will make a decision to create no more pain or problems for myself. And I probably will start to do that because that is what my mind wants to do. It is so trained to think about the future and worry about things and create problems that hasn't even happened, that it will, but I will stop it by asking myself, is this happening or am I just imagining it? If the answer is yes, I'm imagining it, well, then I am creating this pain. Then I am creating these problems. Why would I want to do that? Of course I don't. I think I would feel like an idiot if I chose to continue thinking these kinds of thoughts in that moment when I realized that, don't you think? Who wants to create this on purpose? So that's the whole distinction here. We just need to know when we're doing things on purpose and when it's just the autopilot mind reacting in a way it's always been doing. And I do love using my thoughts on purpose. So when I feel good, I will continue to think about my future from that state, because I love daydreaming about a future that makes me feel good, and I know that that is preparing me to get these good feelings in the future. But when I don't feel good, I don't want to think about my future. I don't want to make problems and pain that I attach to my future. If I then have any challenges to be dealt with in the present moment, I can just do those things. But I don't have to create pain around it. I don't have to make it into problems. And the best way to do that is just to make this decision and ask myself the question whether or not it's real or if I'm creating it. And when you think about it, what do you really want for your future? What I want when my future comes is to be able to enjoy it and to experience it. But if I don't learn how to enjoy and experience this present moment, I will not be able to enjoy the future when it comes either, because that will also arrive at a present moment sometime ahead, So the best way to prepare for my future, to actually be able to enjoy it when it's there, is to learn how to be in this moment. Because if I just keep being in the future in my mind, when my future comes, I will miss it. Because I will be in an even further future. I will never see it when it's in the present moment. And that is also something we should think about. I don't want my future to be filled with worry and problems and anxiety. So of course I don't want to think about it with attaching these emotions to it either, because the only thing I'm preparing myself for is to get things to worry about. Because I can assure you, if that is my main perspective when thinking about the future, that is what kind of thoughts, what kind of focus I will have when the future comes too. So by learning to actually enjoy this present moment without creating worry, without creating questions or problems, I will not attach any negativity to my future, the most important thing, and I will be able to enjoy it and fully experience it when it comes. So for me, seeing that I don't have to think about my future in order to prepare for it, I can actually just chill and let it be, because it will come. And the more I find myself enjoying the present moment, the better my future will feel when I get there.